So welcome this morning. So good to see everybody here. Everybody all right? Yeah? Anybody tired? Yeah, everybody. All right, so if you want to take a nap, it's okay. I know. I will. It's only about 5 or 6 of you each week, so that's I see nod. And some of you go back, some of you go forward. Haven't seen much side, but mostly back or forward. But forward is a little harder for me to tell, so I would recommend, if you want to go lean forward, that's a good one. Looks like you're on your phone or something. But anyway, I want to welcome you to Lifetree. So good to see everybody here today. It was a great day yesterday at Robbinsville Community Day. I think we got a picture. Yeah, we had a great time there. We got a bunch of pictures from it. An opportunity to be with our neighbors, gather together, hanging out. I want to thank you to everybody who came out to help us set up our table, who hung out with us and helped us greet people. And I want to give a huge shout out to Pastor Kevin for running the entire show. Come on. And Nikki for helping organize all our team. Let's give it up for Nikki. They do us a fantastic job reaching out to our community, setting this stuff up, being community builders. Those are community builders right there. That's what they're doing. It's what we're here to do, life-giving, community building, faith growing, and you guys are doing that. I know this week was stressful for you, a little bit stressful. Not just for the planning. I mean, there's so many moving parts. If you weren't there, I mean, there's a couple thousand people that come through. It's a long day, a lot of moving parts. But it's not just that stuff that was stressful. It was also the fun of the weather, of not knowing, like, should we have, if anybody wonder if they were going to have Community Day yesterday? You're looking at, like, is Noah coming back in a boat? Not this Noah, but, like the ark, because, I mean, it was so much rain. And I'm like, we're going to see how this is going to go. But I'm sure that tension, right? Imagine being Kevin wondering, should I cancel, should I postpone to the rain date, which is today, and today even the weather, like, now is fine, but tonight's going to be a little iffy, it's the afternoon, like, who knows? So whatever he does will probably be the wrong decision, but either way, no, he did a great job, it worked out, but that tension, you all know that tension, right? So I'm going to use Kevin as an illustration throughout the message today. So you're welcome. He's looking forward to it. He doesn't know. I told him I was going to, but I didn't tell him what I was going to say. So anyway, the past number of weeks we've been doing a series called The Secret of Contentment. And contentment's a mystery, right? So much of our life we're discontent. We're like frustrated, not what I want, not how I'd want things to go. It's not to say that we're not grateful about life, right? But just that we do have moments where we perhaps feel peace, but contentment that lasts. That's what we're talking about. Contentment that just persists, that endures. That contentment seems to elude us, right? Like we can be content for a moment, like yeah, okay, but it's momentary, it's fleeting, it's passing, and then that long-term contentment, it just seems to escape us. And so we've been examining why that is and what contributes to our discontent. Like, what is it that's making us feel so discontent with life? And why are we, how do we gain that contentment? And so as we've done that, we've found that there are lies that we're being told that directly oppose our contentment, and that these lies often sound very believable, are purposefully planted by the enemy of our soul. Because the enemy wants us to be discontent. Because when we're discontent, one of the primary things we do when we're discontent is we blame God. If I'm discontent, my very first thing is, okay, if I'm discontent with my situation, then I blame God for why I feel this way, for why things are not how I want them, right? We blame God for this, and that there must be some lack in Him that is causing us to miss out on the things that would lead to our contentment. So we've also found there that for every lie, there is also a truth that has the power to actually bring real contentment in our lives. So we've identified the lies. We've said, okay, now there's a truth that actually counteracts that responds to that covers that helps dispel that lie. And so here are the lies that we've identified so far. One, that if we knew more, we'd be content. Right? Two, if we had more, better, newer, I'd be content. Right? Last week, that if I could do more, if I accomplished more, if I could be more successful, I would be more content. And the truths that we've been given the privilege of understanding is this. No, one, God knows it all and tells us what's good for us, reveals to us what's good for us, that we lack no knowledge that would make life better. Right now, you lack no knowledge that would make life better. You know what you need to know. If you need to know more, God will let you know more. But you know all you need to know. 2, that God has it all and has given us every good thing for us. You lack no thing that would make your life better. There's no good that God withholds from you. You have all the good you need for today. There's no more good, better good out there that if you had, you would be more content. Doesn't exist. God has given you all the good. Sometimes more is not better for us, right? These are the things we're discovering. Week 3, that God has done the greatest work. On the cross, Jesus said, "It is finished." He's done the greatest work, so now the work that we have to do, whatever is in front of us, God says, I will give you what you need to do that work. I've already done the greatest work. The work that you're doing, I empower you. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You have what you need to do the work that's in front of you. See, lies replaced by truth leads to contentment. So today, we're going to examine the next lie. And we got 2 weeks left in the series, today and next week. And I think these next 2 are kind of like those were the easy ones. These are where it's really building. This is where it's going to get really, really deep and heavy, but good. But this is the real stuff. Okay, so here you go. Are you ready? You ready for the next lie? Everybody who wants to hear a lie? Here we go. Ready? All right, here's the lie. Here it goes. If what I want would happen when I want, I would be more content. If what I want would happen when I want, I would be more. If I could just have my way, I would be more content. I'm sure I would be happier. I would feel more peace. My life would be better. Nobody feels this, but if my spouse would just do what I want, I would be more content. I did hear her preach it. Okay, there you go. All right. If this situation in my life would just resolve the way I want, I'd be more content, right? If the sale would go through before I have to do more work, I would be content. If the weather would just be sunny all weekend, I didn't have to worry about it, I would be more content. Anybody, right? Anybody agonize over weather reports, right? I mean, if it would just be the way I want, I would be more content. Can you imagine if you woke up and you knew that today everything was going to go your way? Everything. Who would feel excited for a day like that? If I said, on your birthday, everything goes the way you want. Everything. Wouldn't that be a cool birthday? Like a birthday gift, on your birthday, you get everything, the whole world, everything goes your way. Right? Who wouldn't feel excited for that? That would not be, I could tell, on that day, your hair is going to be perfect. Perfect hair day. For some of you, that matters. For some of you, that ship has sailed. But your hair is going to be good. Listen, all the traffic lights are green. All of them. You don't have to ever touch your brakes, right, until you get to where you're going. Right? If your schedule perfectly timed the way you want. Hey, if your team always wins. Right? Your team always wins. If everyone else approves all your requests, whatever you ask, they go, sure, yes, would love to, absolutely. Right? Wouldn't your life be amazing if you got your way all the time? If you could just, and everybody says yes to you, you get what you want all the time, the world, who wouldn't want that? Right? If I always got what I wanted for my birthday, if the people I wanted to hang out with were always available when I asked, I said, hey, you want to go do this? And everybody goes, yeah, I'm in, right? If all your stock choices were winners, who wouldn't want that? Just everything goes your way. Now, here's the thing. That's not life, right? That's why it's funny. That's why we're smiling, because we know that's not life. My teams don't always win. In fact, they seem to lose with great regularity, often. Sometimes it rains when you want sun. There are days you want action, and all you can do is wait. How many love that? Can we just move? Can we just make a decision? And you're just sitting there waiting, like the eternal DMV. Right? You're just waiting and waiting and waiting. It's easy for us to find examples of when things don't go our way because it's throughout our entire life. How much of life feels like it's actually the way you want versus the way you deal with? Right? Most of life. I don't need to convince you that life doesn't often go our way. Every day there are situations we don't want. There are conversations we don't want to have that are in front of us. There are issues we need to deal with, problems we'd rather not have to handle. I'd rather not have to deal with this, right? Even David, like he doesn't want to deal with this. He's like, that guy's loud. The timing of things sometimes feels lousy, right? I wasn't ready for this to happen. Yet this thing over here is happening way too fast. This is coming too fast. I'm not ready for this, right? Or this is taking too long. Why can't things just work out the way I want it, when I'm ready for it? Anybody would like that one? I just want things to work out the way. And it's into this very real tension that the enemy whispers into our ear, if things would just go the way you want, when you want, you'd be more content with your life. If things would just go the way you want, when you want, you would be more content. And it's an outright lie. Here's why. What I want isn't always good for me. And what you want isn't always good for you. If I had my way, I would eat donuts all the time. And I'm not kidding. I literally would eat donuts all the time. Like, I would just eat what I want all the time. I want that. I genuinely want that. It's not good for me, but I genuinely, sincerely want that. If I had my way, I would never have to do anything I don't want to do. I would not go to the dentist. Ever. Who enjoys going to the dentist? Yeah, some of you are, I don't understand. You're like, I like the feeling of clean teeth. Yeah, the process ain't worth it. I don't care. It's just not worth it. Right? I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to work out. I don't want to do any work I don't want to do. Anybody else? I know what I want to do. I want to do what I like to do. There are plenty of things I don't want to do that I have to do in a day. There are so many things that are good for me that I would not choose on my own. Most of us would not choose pain, even if we knew the pain was good for us. I've been going to the gym pretty regularly for like a month or two now because my wife is going. I would not do it alone. The only reason I'm going is because of my wife. It's probably good for me. I would not choose it. I am 45 years old. I have not done it up until this point in my life because I didn't want to. But now that we're going together, I do go to the gym much more, and it's probably good for me. But I don't want to. If we only do what we want to do, here's what happens. The world revolves around us. We are not made to be the center of the universe. It violates our soul, and it costs us so much that is good. Jesus gave us a great window into this. He exposed the lie during a very challenging season of his life. If you know, before Jesus entered ministry, just sort of at the end of his silent years where he's kind of growing, we're told that Jesus went to the wilderness, led by the Spirit of God into the wilderness for 40 days to pray, to fast, prepare himself for ministry. And during that time, the devil was trying to get Jesus to mess up, was tempting him. And one of the things the devil did is took Jesus to the peak of a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and all their glory. And he says this to Jesus. He says, I will give it to you if you will kneel down and worship me. And basically he says this. He says, hey, Jesus, I will give you what you want, which sounds good. It's the power to rule over the world, which would have made Jesus' mission to come and reach people. It would have made his mission easier. And he says, and I will give it to you immediately. I will give you what you want. I will give it to you now in this moment, which means without the cross. Jesus, I will give it to you without the suffering, without the delay, right? Without that. I mean, that's a deal. I will give you what you want. I will give it to you when. Without all this stuff, here's the only thing. It comes with a string. And the string is this. You're going to have to worship me, which means you're going to have to reject God, the Father, and instead give worship to me. And without getting dramatic, though this is pretty dramatic here, this is Jesus and the devil, kind of like eternity in the balance. This is what's on the line for us every day. When we want our way, it's the devil sitting in our ear saying, hey, I will give you what you want. I will give it to you when you want. All you got to do is worship me. And when we want our way, when we seek our way, when we pursue our way, what we're saying is, I will sell my soul for it. I prioritize my way over God's way. I want what I want. We reject God, His timing, His way. We elevate and worship ourselves, and ultimately, a turn away from God is always a turn towards the enemy. Jesus shut it down immediately, and we need to do it as well. It's a pure lie from the enemy. So then, the lie is this: if I get what I want, when I want, I'll be more content. So what's the truth then? What's the truth that counteracts that? Here we go. Let's find that. That truth is found in probably one of the most poetic passages ever written anywhere, any book, any writing, any culture, any civilization, not just in the Bible, but anywhere ever. Many songs have incorporated these lyrics. Perhaps the most famous in modern times, fodern, that's a weird word, famous in modern times. David wants to sing it now. Pete Seeger, The Byrds, 1965. I'd say, I don't know, maybe a quarter of you were alive even then at that time in history. But you're gonna recognize these. Some of you are like, who's Pete Seeger? But some of you know. But these simple yet profound words contain a truth that we have to cling to if we want to know the secret of contentment. It's found in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. It'll be on the screens behind. You can read it in your Bibles as well. Here we go. You ready? Here are the words, most poetic words. For everything, there is a season. A time for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to harvest. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build up. A time to cry and a time to laugh. A time to grieve and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace, and a time to turn away, a time to search, and a time to quit searching, a time to keep, and a time to throw away, a time to tear, and a time to mend, a time to be quiet, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time for war, and a time for peace. Then in verse 9 it shifts. What do people really get for all their hard work? I have seen the burden God has placed on us all. Here we come to the final verse, verse 11. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. So here we go. Here's the truths we find. One, to everything there is a season. To everything there is a season. A time for everything. All time is not the same. There are days where the sun shines, and there are days where it rains. And there are days where it does both. There are times to speak and times not to. How many of you are like, man, there's a lot in there. We could probably learn from this, right? There are times to move and times to stand still. Here's something we need to know. We do not determine the season. Did you determine when you were born? Nope. Do you determine when planting season is? Nope. We are passive participants in that planning process. We do not choose the seasons, only what we will do with them. God is the active participant. He sets the seasons. We're told in creation account in Genesis that God created the sun, moon, and stars to govern the seasons, to mark the seasons. That God designed the seasons. He has always controlled the seasons. We don't get to choose what season we're in, but we can pay attention and be aware of what season we're in. And here we find the powerful truth that anchors our contentment. Here it comes. The God who made the seasons has made everything beautiful in its time. In every season of life, no matter where you find yourself, there is beauty. Maybe you hear that today and you go, yeah, I can see that. Life feels I see the beauty today. You can see it. It feels pretty good. You're like, I recognize beauty in my life. I can see the beauty of God in this season. And there are some of you that hear that and you bristle and you resist it. And you think to yourself, there is no possible way. There's no beauty in where I am today. No, There cannot possibly be beauty in this mess of a situation or a circumstance that I find myself in. Maybe there's beauty in some parts of my life, but not all. In these seasons over here, in this stage, there's no beauty there. There cannot possibly. There's no beauty in my stress. There's no beauty in my frustration. There's no beauty in my disappointment, in my discouragement. There's no beauty in my pain. This is poetry. Sometimes there's beauty in life, but there is not always beauty in life. Anybody, you go, yeah, I kind of feel that way. You know what that is? That's the lying voice of discontentment. It's not true. This is a profound and somewhat defiant truth here, that there is beauty in every season of life. That means there is just as much beauty in my grief as there is in my joy. That means there is just as much beauty in my pain as in my comfort. That means there is just as much beauty in the rain as in the sunshine. I don't like this one. I don't like this one. God has made everything beautiful in its time. Sounds like a theoretical message that doesn't practically work. As I was preparing this message, I was reading an older commentary on Ecclesiastes. That was a book in my shelf. It was actually one of my dad's books. And when I turned to this particular passage, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, I found an old handwritten note that he had in this. I mean, I haven't seen this yet. It's been long. I don't really study too much in Ecclesiastes, particularly chapter 3. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, on page 1, there was a little handwritten note. Looks like it was from his college years. Had Professor Grazier on there. I think the Hobart Grazier, is that his name? Yeah, old guy. Back in like the 70s we're talking. This is an old note. And my dad was writing just thoughts on this scripture text. And listen to what I found he had written all those years ago about this particular passage. He wrote these words, comfort, it said. Just said comfort, dash. Wherever you are is your season to be there. Even in hard times, God knows best. Wherever you are, it's your season to be there. Where you are now, and what is going on in your life right now, at this exact time, is ordained by God, and there is beauty in it. How can that be? How can there be beauty in death and pain and suffering and disappointment and frustration and discouragement? How can there be beauty when there's division, when there's things not going the way I want, when things just seem like it would be so much better if it worked out this way? How can there be beauty in this that I don't want? Is God sadistic to tell us to go look for beauty in all these painful places? And it leads us to a pivotal question today that's going to kind of shape this entire message, and it's this. What does the writer mean by beauty? What are we talking about? See, beauty is subjective, right? Beauty is all in the eye of the beholder. What is beautiful to one could be like very unattractive to another, right? A face only a mother could love, right? Beauty, I don't know if I call that beautiful, right? How can we recognize beauty if it's so subjective, so determined by each one? The beauty being referenced here, it says it's a physical, visible, right, perceivable beauty. That means we can see it with our eyes. You can see it, you can perceive it, you can recognize it. There's a tangible something in each season that's undeniably beautiful to anyone and everything. It's sort of this transcendent beauty that is visible, that is inarguable. Everybody would say that is beauty. So then what does that look like? How do we know what kind of beauty we're looking for? For that, I want to turn to Psalm chapter 96. Verse 4, again, will be on the screen. It says this, great is the Lord. He is most worthy of praise. He is to be feared above all gods. The gods of other nations are mere idols, but the Lord made the heavens. And here we go, verse 6. Honor and majesty surround him. Strength and what? Beauty fill his sanctuary. See, the presence of God, the actual presence of God, where God is characterized by beauty. That God himself is beautiful. That means when we perceive true beauty in the world, we are actually seeing a glimpse of God. that if we're seeing beauty, it's actually the presence of God in that thing, in that time, in that person, in that place, in that situation. Whatever season we are in, God himself is in, and when we see that he is there, we get a glimpse of beauty. This is imperative for us to believe if we're ever going to know contentment, that throughout life you will journey through countless seasons, all types of experiences and circumstances, and each one has within it a kind of good that reveals the power and presence of God at work. God has made everything beautiful in its time. Said another way, God has made himself and his activity visible in every season of your life. God is in every season of your life, and if God is in your life, then his beauty is in there, and you can perceive his beauty in that moment. God has made everything beautiful in its time. And to add to that truth, there's a promise. God says this, Psalm 32, verse 8. He says, I will guide you along the best pathway for your life. I will advise you and watch over you. God promises that he will guide you along the best pathway. That means it couldn't be better. Not that there's, right, it's perfect. That means you are precisely where you should be, even if it's not where you want to be. Even if it's not where you want to be. Like, I don't want. God says, I'm with you. I'm guiding you. My presence is here. That means this is beautiful. There is a beauty in this. I'll never forget, I was reading this years ago, Exodus chapter 13, as the Israelites were leaving Egypt on their way out through the wilderness. Pharaoh finally lets the people go. It says this. It says, God did not lead them along the main road that runs through the Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest route to the promised land. God said, if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So listen, verse 18, he says this, so God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. Thus the Israelites left Egypt like an army ready for, you know what? So here's the straight line. Here's the roundabout way. I would have chosen a straight road. If you're using GPS, I like fastest route. I don't care about tolls. I want the fastest route. I want the straight line. I want to get there in a hurry. I would choose the most logical road. It seems if this leads to here and they got road and infrastructure, I should take that road. And God says, I understand all that. I got other plans for you. I know what I'm doing. I know what's best for you. And if you take that route, you may not get there. So instead, I'm going to lead you in a roundabout way. Because I love you, and this is good for you. It's a way you may not choose for yourself, but I know what I'm doing. Yeah, but God, this is taking a long time. Just trust me. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. I'm working in your life. Couldn't be better. Best pathway. So he led them in a roundabout way. How many of you feel, perhaps today, as you look back on your life, you go, oh, I'm on the roundabout way. I thought this was going to be different. I would never have chosen this line for my life. God always leads us in the best pathways. It's a promise. So what? So what? First thing, very simple. Will you let God lead you? Will you let God, will you trust his timing? Can you just confess today that this is your season to be where you are? Even if you don't want to be there? Okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. Don't despise it.
So there's this book I was saying, I highly recommend that you read it if you haven't read it. It's called Hind's Feet in High Places by Hannah Hurnard. Hind is a word for a deer. So it's it's an old-fashioned word for a deer. But in the foreword to the book is this little paragraph that's powerful. That's powerful. There we go. Okay, now we go. So let me read this for you, if you will. Will you let me read this to you? It says this. The high places of victory and union with Christ can only be reached by learning to accept, day by day, the actual conditions and tests permitted by God by a continual, repeated laying down of our will and accepting of His as it is presented to us in the form of the people with whom we have to live, work, and in the things which happen to us. Here we go, listen. Every acceptance of His will becomes an altar of sacrifice. Every time we say, okay, God, I'm going to let you lead, it becomes an altar where we lay down. She says, every such surrender and abandonment of ourselves to His will is a means of furthering us on the way to the high places which He desires to bring every child of His while they're still living on this earth. And every time we say, okay, God, this is not the way I want it, it's not what I want things to go like, this is not when I want it to happen, but every time we say, okay, God, I trust you, I'll let you lead, it becomes an altar where we say, God, I lay it down. Every day we get opportunities to do this. Not my way, but yours. Because my way is self-worship. God, I trust you. I would choose the direct way. You got the roundabout way. Let God lead, number one. Number two is the second point. Find the beauty in today. Let God lead. Find the beauty in today. Look for God's presence wherever you are. That's how you'll find the beauty. I'm not saying, look, where's the beauty in the rain and community day?
Where's the rain and where's the beauty and I just got laid off. I haven't had a job in months. Where's the beauty in this? I'm tired of being alone in my life. Where's the beauty in this? I don't understand why this is happening to me. Why do the doctors keep saying they can't find stuff? Where's the beauty in this? Don't look at just the situation. Look for God. Where is God in your life? He is ever present. Emmanuel, God with us all the time. And in His great love for us, God has filled our lives with Himself. And that is beautiful. Look for the beauty. Look for God. It was the writer Elizabeth Barrett Browning who said, earth is crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God. But only he who sees takes off his shoes. The rest sit around and pluck blackberries. God is everywhere. There is beauty all over our lives. Do we have eyes to perceive it? Find the beauty in your season. As I close, I just want to encourage you. If you will trust God's wisdom and love in guiding the seasons of your life, and if you will choose to look for the beauty of His presence, here we go, here's the promise, you're going to see it. Life's about to get more beautiful. How many of you want life to be more beautiful? You'd say, I'm tired of seeing the ugly in life. I'm tired of seeing the pain and the broken and just like Eeyore, everything is gray and it's bad. I want to see the good in the world. Let me tell you, God is everywhere and He's constantly at work. Find the beauty. Look for Him. You will find it. And as you see it, you will move closer and closer to that sense of contentment that has so often eluded us. Things that should be bothering you, that historically bothered you, that would have thrown you off for weeks, things that would have consumed you and caused you to question God's love, to distance you from Him, will become lesser and lesser in power over you. Rather than saying, if only I had my way, we'll join the Apostle Paul in saying, I have learned and I am learning how to be content in any and every circumstance. With whatever I have, I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I've learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it's with a full stomach or empty, with plenty or with little, for I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. I'm on the journey to becoming content because I know that God is leading my life. Each week we've concluded with a corporate confession, a declaration of what's true, and a commitment to live in that truth. So in a moment we're going to pray. I'm going to speak first, and then I'll invite you to repeat after me. But before we do that, I just want to give you a moment. Just close your eyes, or however you want to pray right now. But would you just do some business with God just for a moment? Maybe you need to say, God, I need to let you lead. God, help me see the beauty. Just whatever you need to say right now, would you just pause before we do this? I don't just want to jump right into it. I want to give you a moment to reflect. would you just pause right now? Say, God, I want my own way so bad. It's not good for me. It's a lie. It will not lead to my contentment. Getting my way is not always good for me. Help us see your beauty, Lord. Okay, now I'm going to pray. I invite you to repeat after me. Heavenly Father. Oh, you can do better. Heavenly Father, you have given me a will, and I am free to do with it what I choose. I acknowledge that within me is the desire to have what I want when I want. And I recognize that getting my way does not promise me contentment. It may not even be good for me. So today, and each day after, I surrender my will to yours. I trust you to guide the seasons of my life. Your ways are just, they are right, and your timing is perfect. You have made everything beautiful in its time. I will look for it. And as I do, I will see you in each season of my life. And I will find contentment in your presence with me.